2000 regular meeting of the Bowling Green Board of Commissioners. Invite you to stand if you choose while Commissioner Rick Williams leads us in invocation and then pledge.
Join me in prayer, please. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the many blessings of this life. We ask that you be with us now and lead, guidance, and direct us as we consider the business that's before us. Bless each and every one of the people who are in attendance here this evening and those who are watching us on television at home. We'd ask your continued blessings upon the community that we live in and helping us to always realize where the blessings come from. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Williams?
Here.
Commissioner Denning?
Here.
Commissioner Nash?
Here.
Commissioner Perigin?
Here.
Mayor Wilkerson?
Here. Under awards and recognitions, our first item tonight is to recognize Martha Cosby from the Kentucky League of Cities, the Enterprise Cities Award that she has to present for us tonight. So I invite you to come to the podium, please, and proceed.
Thank you very much, Mayor. As the mayor said, I'm with Kentucky League of Cities, and we have an Enterprise Cities Award program that recognizes innovative and projects and programs throughout Kentucky cities. And I'm excited to announce that Bowling Green was the recipient this year of the award with their Academy for New Americans project. And I'm going to show the clip here for a few minutes and then that's just a short clip on about the project, and it's such an impressive project that even Louisville's modeling after you all now as well, and I think that you all should be very proud of that. I do want to say that our sponsor, James Johnson with Collins and Company, is donating $1,000 to the program for further support of that as well. And now I would like to make the presentation to Leda Becker and the mayor of the city. And thank you all very much for
Great day for the city to have what we do is recognized as a leader in the state. So thank you so much, and thank you, Leda and Mr. DeFebo, who helped initiate that program. Thank you so much. The next item we have is I've got some retired teachers in the room, but I lost track of them a while ago. Where are they? They're there. Come on up here. Come on up to the podium, because I've got, yes, ma'am. Miss White, Kay White's here with us. If you don't mind, I'll just read this from here, and then I'll come out and present that to you. So that way I'll stay by the microphone. This is a proclamation, and we have an opportunity to recognize the retired teachers in appreciation for this week. Whereas Kentucky's retired teachers have devoted their careers to the education and training of literally thousands upon thousands of Kentucky's youth, and whereas Kentucky's retired teachers have retrained and or provided primary educational opportunities to hundreds of adults in the state who for one reason or another had fallen behind in the formal education needed for job and social skills. And whereas Kentucky's retired teachers rendered valuable services and diverse leadership roles in their communities and institutions throughout their careers and continue to render such services as retirees. And whereas Kentucky's retired teachers represent the profession, which is given the basic responsibility for launching the careers of state and national leaders and for laying the foundation for the welfare of all members of our society. And whereas Kentucky's retired teachers have toiled ceaselessly to improve the quality of life in the state and nation, too often in less than adequate circumstances and for less than adequate pay, and whereas Kentucky's retired teachers represent a tremendous pool of experience and training which remains dedicated to the betterment of society everywhere, and whereas Kentucky's retired teachers represent a loyal, patriotic, and concerned citizenry which provided a dedicated and dependable support to the leaders in our community, state, and nation. And whereas Kentucky's General Assembly has honored the Kentucky retired teachers by recognizing the third week of October as Kentucky Retired Teachers Appreciation Week, now therefore we, the Bowling Green Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the week of October 15th through 21st as Retired Teachers Appreciation Week and encourage all citizens to reach out to retired teachers and thank them for their hard work and dedication. I'll come out and present this to you.
Thank you very much. And I don't know if you're aware of it, but the state president of Retired Teachers Association is here in Bowling Green this year, Mensa Johnson. So that's one of the reasons that we presented all of you with, this is kind of a turnabout on an apple from the or an apple for the teacher. Right. This is an apple from all our teachers. So
well, thank you so
hope you
much.
enjoy
We
them.
appreciate all the work that you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor, while you're on the way back, may I say something? Many years ago, when I went on the Bowling Green School Board, I knew her before that, but I spent many years working with Mrs. White, many years. Not only is she was an excellent teacher, most of all, she's been my friend for many, many years. I have a special spot in my heart for teachers, and I'll tell you why. They are underpaid, underappreciated, underthought of, if that's a proper term or terminology, and I know what they go through after spending 18 years with many of them on the Bowling Green School Board. All of our teachers in this system and the Warren County system are excellent people. And when we ask them to take care of our kids for 171, 175 days, I can't remember exactly, we're putting a lot on their shoulders because some of us want to get rid of our kids for 170 some odd days, and we ask these people who are already underpaid to take care of them. And in today's school setting, when they take charge of their room, then we have some that are there chewing them out. You can't do this to my child. My child is the best in the world, when everybody but them know that their child is not the best in the world. There are exceptions, I guess, to bad teachers. Some you have to keep an eye on, like, you know, people like Joe Tenius, but the others are good folks. Like Joe, I've been around him for many years. Excellent teacher, excellent superintendent. So during your retirement, I wish all of you the best. You've earned it. If we could give a Purple Heart, you would be deserving of it. And I mean that.
I think some of them have Purple Hearts.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. They all bleed purple, right, I got it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Any other awards or recognitions? Just a couple of quick announcements. October 28th is a Saturday from 8 to 1 at Greenwood High School is the Warren County Hazardous Waste Day. So if you have some items cluttering up your garage or around your house that you want to get rid of, and we want to make sure that we don't contaminate our streams and so forth, so the county has a program that'll pick that up for you again October 28th at Greenwood High School.
I mean, old drugs and stuff.
But I don't know if drugs are, but they have a container in front of the police department that picks those up. Just used it this past week. And one other thing, a point of personal privilege, thank you to each member of the commission and the staff here for your comments and thoughts and prayers and tokens for my passing my dad this last couple of weeks. Thank y'all so much. Kind of you. Anything else? Mr. Febo, you have any comments?
Yes, Mayor, I do. Thank you. 3 items. First, there'll be a late file on your desk for consideration tonight. I think we need to add that to the agenda later or now?
No.
No. Okay.
I'll make the motion to add municipal order 2017-218.
Second.
Motion by me, second by Williams. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Williams,
Yes.
Denning,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes?
Second item is I'd like to remove items 8 and 10 from consideration tonight, and they need a little more vetting in the next couple of weeks. So with your courtesy, I'd like to remove 8 and 10. And then finally, there'll be a need for an executive session. Kate will read the reason.
Pursuant to KRS 62810B for deliberations on the sale of real property by the city, but only when publicity would likely affect the value of the specific piece of property to be sold.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Nash. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Williams,
Yes.
Denning,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes? Anything else,
So,
sir?
thank you.
Approval of minutes for the regular meeting on September 19th, 2017, and then a special work session from the fall retreat on September 28th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Denning. Any comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Williams,
Yes.
Denning,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Second reading of ordinance BG 2017-47.
Ordinance rezoning real estate, ordinance rezoning a tract of land containing 1.87 acres from OPC Office and Professional Commercial to GB General Business located at 4681 Russellville Road, presently owned by B&B Cleaning Company Incorporated.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Nash, second by Denning. It's second reading of a recommendation, a unanimous recommendation from Planning and Zoning that we've already considered. Is there any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Williams,
Yes.
Denning,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Second reading of ordinance BG 2017-48.
Ordinance rezoning real estate, ordinance rezoning a tract of land containing 1.37 acres from HB Highway Business to HI Heavy Industrial at 1491 Old Louisville Road, presently owned by Robert and Norma Gale Simpson.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Williams. Again, a unanimous recommendation from Planning and Zoning. Any other discussion or comments? Please call the roll.
Williams,
Yes.
Denning,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Second reading of ordinance BG 2017-49.
Ordinance rezoning real estate, ordinance rezoning a tract of land containing 15.07 acres from PUD Planned Unit Development to RM4 Multifamily Residential and HB Highway Business located on Scottsville Road, presently owned by Bowling Green Partners LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Perigin, second by Nash. Again, a unanimous recommendation from Planning and Zoning. Is there any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Nash.
Yes.
Perigin.
yes,
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2017-196.
Municipal order approving the promotion of Anthony O. Phelps to the position of crew leader in the Public Works Department.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Nash, second by Williams. Mr. Febo.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd ask Greg Meredith to come forward to put Mr. Phelps' name before you. Greg?
Thank you, Mr. DeFebo, Mayor, Commissioners. Our Operations Division has a need to fill one of our 3 crew leader positions due to a recent vacancy. This position is vital to the success of that unit. Duties include supervision of mowing, road maintenance, concrete masonry work, traffic control, seasonal tasks such as leaf pickup and snow removal. Additionally, crew leaders train personnel, assign work duties, update work tasks in various spreadsheets and databases. According to our established Career Path Advancement Program, we had 2 candidates that were qualified and were interviewed for this position, with Mr. Tony Phelps being the successful candidate. This time I'd like Tony to stand. Tony was hired as a laborer in 2006 and has advanced through the Career Path program to the position of Operations Technician 3 status in 2014. Tony has an excellent work history over the past 11 years, is very knowledgeable, and possesses many of the skills that are of value to this division. For example, he's a certified Smith driving trainer since 2007 and is a CDL trainer. He's a member of the Employee Committee for 6 years and a member of the Safety Committee since 2013. He's completed both Roadmaster and Road Scholar certification programs offered through the Kentucky Transportation Center. Tony also completed Group Leadership Certification program sponsored by South Central Kentucky Training Consortium. It's our recommendation that Mr. Tony Phelps be promoted to crew leader within the Operations Division of Public Works. Thank you.
Congratulations, Tony. Excited for your work. Yes, sir.
I don't hold grudges or anything, as you and the rest of the commission knows, but I called down here one day a few years ago when my driveway in front of my apartment on Eastwood was blocked. Well, what had happened, someone on a big piece of equipment from the city of Bowling Green comes down and just puts all the snow over on my side, blocking the exit and entrance to get in my apartment, as well as blocking me from getting out of my apartment. So being a good citizen like I am, I called down here, well, I called out there and talked to the respective department that was in charge of that equipment. And you know what they told me? They told me that I would just have to get a shovel and shovel my way out, because if they did it for me, they'd have to do it for everybody else. So even with my back bothering me and me having gone down to Vanderbilt to have surgery and everything, I finally got someone to help me to get out. But I don't hold grudges. I don't hold no grudges.
I'm disappointed that we're just now promoting these people.
Thank you.
All
Yep.
right,
That's-
time to vote. Please
That's
call
the
the
way
roll.
we do.
All right. Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Of course, yes.
Nash.
Yes.
Perigin.
yes,
Wilkerson.
Yes. Congratulations again. Municipal Order 2017-197.
Municipal order approving the probationary appointments of Christian N. Henderson, Russell L. Smith, and Benjamin K. Wright to the position of Laborer 2 in the Public Works Department.
Second?
Motion by Nash, second by Denning. Mr. Febo.
As we see the economy improving, we're noticing a movement of employees from work for the city to other jobs. But that too creates opportunity for other applicants. We're here today to fill these positions. We had 40 people shown interest in these positions. So there are still people who want to work for us. We reduced that to 13 and vetted it to 6, and from here, We're here to recommend 3. We had 4, and again, the 4th person found what they felt was a better job. So I believe, Michael, are all 3 incumbents here? 2. Okay. Maybe they could stand? Okay.
Congratulations, gentlemen. Hope you look forward to this back-breaking work Joe's told you about. Any comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Nash.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2017-198.
Municipal order approving the transfer of Joshua A. Johnson to the position of equipment technician in the Public Works Department.
Moved.
Second.
Motion by Nash, second by Perigin. Mr. Febo.
Thank you, Mayor. We're here tonight with item number 6 to approve, hopefully, the transfer of Joshua Johnson from the Parks Department, I believe, to Equipment Tech in the Public Works Department. Mr. Johnson has the requisite skills. A vacancy occurred when one of the people in this position was elevated to work on fire equipment, so we needed someone to do general technician work, and Joshua has the skills. I believe he's here.
Congratulations to you. Hope you enjoy the transfer. Any comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Nash.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2017-199.
Municipal order approving the probationary appointment of Aaron M. Tagliabashi to the position of system analyst in the Information Technology Department.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Williams. Mr. DeFebo.
Thank you, Mayor. We don't try to add many new employees. In this particular case, we added 1 to our census this year because, as you know, technology is one of the few places in which we can increase white-collar productivity, and we increasingly are relying on an IT department for that. We had a need for someone to help with the various programmatic apps that we have and applications. So Lynn made a case, we accepted it, and we're here tonight to fill the position with Aaron Tagliabashi. So, which, by the way, means woodcutter in Italian, so we welcome Aaron aboard. So,
Mayor, and he's main thing about this applicant.
He's a gator.
No, he's a purple.
Okay, congratulations to you. Glad to have you on board. Any comments or questions other than Joe? Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Nash.
Yes.
Perigin. Wilkerson.
Yes. All right, we're passing over number 8 and moving to Municipal Order 2017-201.
Municipal order approving revisions to the employee medical benefit plan for employees of the City of Bowling Green.
So moved.
Second.
Perigin, second by Williams. Mr. Febo.
A number of years under direction of this commission, we as staff were directed to try to improve our health product as well as to manage the costs in a highly volatile environment. For the last 8 or 9 years, an employee committee has been working to do that with the help of Mark Morgan and others. We're here tonight to ask you to approve some of the recommendations from that employee committee. Given their importance, I thought it'd be appropriate for Mike Grubbs to come up and give a brief overview of some of the changes. Michael?
Thank you, Mr. DeFebo. Good afternoon. Our recommendation is to go into effect January 1, 2018, based on discussion with our insurance consultants, Cheryl Morgan, as well as our claims administrator, Maritane, and the employee committee, to make some changes to our health care plan. These were covered with you all at the strategic planning retreat in late September. We've been self-funded for our plan since the early 90s. Generally have had good luck with that. Even as recent as 2012, fiscal year 2012, our plan was very solvent Unfortunately, the last 5 years, we've seen some major costs, some of which pertain to a couple of high claimants that are ongoing. There have been some effects from the Affordable Care Act, as well as just general inflation. Starting in 2009, we made several changes to our plan. It's pretty much been the same since then. We've only made a couple of minor increases in premiums. We did drop a $200 deductible plan a couple of years after 2009, but generally we've had the same plan since then. Our costs have gone up. They're exceeding the amounts that the city and the employees are paying in. We used a trust fund to help cover those costs, but the city has had to help subsidize that in order to keep it in good stead. Therefore, we've had to talk about making some changes to the cost sharing as well as our deductibles and co-pays in order to make sure that the plan remains steady into the future. We met with the Employee Health Care Committee, gave them some recommendations, gave them some alternatives. Obviously, no one wants to see our benefits plan erode, but the employees understood that some additional cost sharing is going to be needed. What we're recommending is closing our $400 deductible plan and combining everyone into one plan, which has the health reimbursement account. We're looking at raising our deductibles to 1,000 single, 2,000 family, raising our out-of-pocket maximums to 2,000 single, 4,000 family, extending the health reimbursement account to all employees. Right now, about half of the employees have it. The other half on the 400 plan did not. The health reimbursement account is funded by the city, not by the employees, and that provides additional funds to help cover some costs, to help employees with some of their deductibles and out-of-pocket expenses. That would be $1,000 a year single, 2,000 family. Those go into an account in the employee's name, and they increase each year, and they roll over to a maximum, which we're also raising. Some employees have thought with this change somehow we're wiping their accounts clean and starting over. That's not the case. All of us that have money in the account now continues. We are recommending a $250 copay for emergency room services. Copay sounds like that means you're going to have to pay $250 when you walk into the ER, but that's not the case. That simply means that the first $250 for an emergency room visit, the employee will be charged eventually when they get their bill and their their EOB, their employee benefits information. We've checked with our main local hospital. They do not take money at the emergency room. I've also talked with Meritain, our claims administrator. The reference to the $250 copay will not be on the card. It simply means when the employee gets their bill, they'll be responsible for the first $250 of that. The city in the last year spent $156,000 on emergency room visits. The concern's always been that some people go to the ER when they could have gone to a doctor, they could have gone to a urgent care type situation in some circumstances, and the city's paying a much higher cost, obviously, when someone goes to the ER when they didn't always have to go there. And also, the current premiums on our 750 plan would apply to all employees. Half of our employees will actually see a reduction in premium in conjunction with increasing the deductibles and the co-pays. Our benefits manager, Lori Gray, has been going around to employee meetings, to departments, and holding employee meetings. She's had over 30 so far. In fact, she's going to be at the fire station in a half an hour, offered to meet with spouses to help explain the benefit changes. Nobody's happy with, obviously, a change, but they understand our need and generally have been accepting, specifically once they understood the HRA and that the health reimbursement account will be there to help cover some of these expenses. Therefore, it's our recommendation that these changes be implemented effective January 1. Be glad to answer any questions or try to.
Questions or comments from Mr.?
$156,000 for our employees used at the emergency room. Is that a lot of money in comparison with the number of employees?
No, I mean, our total medical budget's $5 million, so no, it's not a large amount compared to the total. However, we're trying to look at any place we can to help address some cost sharing. city employees only pay about 5% of their premium. City pays the bulk of it. So this is a way to help shift some cost to employees. But even with this recommendation, the city's paying 80% of our additional costs.
Any communication with Greenview Hospital pertaining to the same questions that were asked of the other emergency rooms?
No, Lori contacted the medical center. One of our other employees in the building contacted medical center. So no, we haven't contacted every emergency room. But again, it won't be listed on the card, so unless someone in the emergency room calls Meritain to check on benefits, there's going to be no way they would know that there's a copay.
So if a person goes from here to Vanderbilt, they shouldn't have any problem whatsoever.
Well, if someone is, let's say someone is at the emergency room here, and then they're referred to Vanderbilt, they may go to the emergency room at Vanderbilt, or they may go straight to surgery. But if they go straight to another emergency room, we have the ability with the self-funded plan to make sure that there's only one copay that the employee eventually has to pay. If you go to the emergency room here and 3 hours later you're sent to Vanderbilt on the same date, that's a referral, and you shouldn't be charged. But even if you were charged, all you have to do is let Lori or me know, and we can talk to Meritain and make sure there's only one charge for that.
If an individual's down to Nashville where the crazy traffic is at, and they have a wreck and they have to go to Vanderbilt, then that person is not gonna have any problem at Vanderbilt. It's at nighttime. So when the hospital calls our company, then that shouldn't be any problem.
One can never make guarantees. I mean, we have problems with the hospital right now that continues to charge our people out of network, even though Lori has talked to several people with that company. We eventually get it worked out. But, I can't stand here and tell you that every single time is going to work exactly right, because everybody's human. But that's the way it should work, is that the person is treated. Once you get your bill, you're going to see that you're responsible for the first $250, and then the insurance kicks in and pays the rest of it.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at, and what my concern is that other big hospitals, they're not the friendly hospitals like the Medical Center of Bowling Green and Greenview Bowling Green. You roll in, if you don't have any insurance, or you don't meet all the requirements, then they'll roll your butt back out. That's what I am trying to prevent. Now, I know that I've caused a lot of concerns and a lot of questions here within this last week, but I don't want not one of our employees to have a problem with the changeover of insurance, monies, or whatever pertaining to this new plan. I know how the big hospitals work. We read about them all the time. Somebody laid out there in the hallway because they didn't have $250 and they died. Don't want that.
We understand that, and obviously if this does happen, you'll probably be the ones asking us to change the plan. This is not something new that we just came up with, so it must be fairly standard in the industry that there is such a thing as a copay for going to the emergency room. And if it was a problem, I think we would have heard about it. But I agree, if it's a problem, we'll hear about it.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning? Nash?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Yes.
I had just say one thing. When we have these staff meetings with all of our employees, each one of these department heads sitting over here know how many employees they got under them. Let it be known through them that every one of the employees has responded. They have a sign-off sheet. yes, I've been told about our insurance coverage. Okay? Is that difficult to do? I mean, he's got 35 employees. Only thing he's got to do is give out 38 pieces of paper from each one of his employees saying they have been explained our insurance program.
Well, we're going through our open enrollment right now, and they're given a complete packet that has that information in it. Again, Lori has had over 30 employee meetings. She had a meeting yesterday evening with 2 people at the police
Did she get a
department.
list of all those people, those 2 people?
No, well, she knows who they are, obviously.
Did she write it down to turn it in to the city manager or whomever? When the first meeting pertaining to policy changes, whether it be insurance or whether it be anything else, I'm a department head. I got 40 employees. I don't care if one's absent that day, I'm still going to get a sheet saying my 40 employees within my department have been told about the insurance coverage change. Very simple. I don't know why it's difficult. We've got a captive audience of 40 people. Let's get 40 sheets back.
Well, where I was going with the statement was, with the open enrollment, everybody has to enroll, and they have to submit a signed form that they received the information, and they're completing it. So I believe they've got that information by virtue of having returned the form to us. If we don't have the form back, then Lori has to follow up with them.
Another important point, the whole idea of having an employee committee is have those fellow employees answer questions that they first got information on. So every committee member knows that they're supposed to go to their own departments in which they work or responsible for and share information that they were part of making. That's why the committee was formed.
Did they sign off saying they were told?
The committee members?
No, I can care less about committee members. I am talking about the employees within that department. Mr. Meredith has got 100 employees, let's say. Somebody in human resources is gonna talk to those 100 employees at some time. I am just saying, Joe Dennis is an employee of Mr. Meredith. I've been told. I put my name there. Mr. Meredith gets it. Those numbers and those sheets comes into you, the city manager. Not difficult. Why are we making it difficult?
I think Mike just said that every time you have enrollment, the employees have to sign off, so they are doing what you're asking.
I'm not talking about enrollment. Enrollment is when you said, I want information that that person has been told up front, whether it's the same day they enroll or not, a sign-off sheet saying they've been told about their insurance.
I think what he's saying is that.
They're
Mr.
supposed to
Pebo's
read
saying
that.
is
That's a
that's
response.
an acknowledgement of they
Acknowledgement.
get the material, whether they choose to read it is something different, but I don't.
Everyone received a spiral-bound packet, every employee that has insurance, just like Commissioner Williams is holding up. They have that to look at, and then they sign off at open enrollment, every single employee.
Don't mandate that everyone come to a meeting, so that's why I can't tell you, yes, everyone has signed off on something, because we can't, I can't force 450 employees to come to a meeting.
I guess the issue comes down to that when changes are made to things as important as health insurance, members of the commission get calls from city employees to register their dislike or their like for the changes that are being made. When they're registering dislike, one of the natural questions that anybody would ask is, you know, haven't you heard about this prior to calling me? Or what meetings have you attended? And there are times that we're told, well, nobody told us. There were no meetings, or I didn't know about a meeting. And I think what Commissioner Denning is driving at is that if there was some way to register that the meeting occurred and that all people that were, all employees were invited, and those employees that attended signed off on it, then there would be some level of verification for members of the Board of Commissioners to approach city staff to say, I heard a complaint from employee A. Did employee A attend the meeting? When was the meeting for employee A's department? And then when we do follow-up, we're able to say the meeting was held on this date at this time. You signed off on it or you didn't sign off on it. Why didn't you attend the meeting?
And the department heads on, I don't think the department head has got to do is just stick his hand out and receive those that are in that meeting. Here's my sign off. Why are we making it difficult? We're not talking about calculus. Just give me the paper, and I don't care whether they're there or not, or whether they sign up at some later date. But I was at that first meeting because I signed off. Only thing we've done is collecting paper, and we do that all the time. Jeff, did all your people sign anything until enrollment that they had attended a prior meeting?
We had multiple meetings, and I made sure that every division attended. So my department's around 17 full-time
So they
that
all
are eligible
attended.
for insurance,
They
so,
all attended.
yes, sir.
Did you get anything saying that they did attend?
I saw the sign-up sheet where the meetings were scheduled and who was attending the meetings.
Yeah, that's the same thing. I mean, don't know why we're making it difficult. We just want to know that everybody attending the meeting. Simple.
Here's the problem,
That-
not everybody will attend the meeting. So what do you do about the guy who says, I don't want to come to the meeting? Are you still going to provide me insurance? Is the answer yes, you didn't have to go to a meeting, but we'll still give you insurance? Or do we make it a hook? Until you sign off, you don't get insurance.
I don't care what you do. That's you and the others are the administrative. I just want to know that everybody had the opportunity to hear about the insurance. You, the administrator, don't care what you do. Fire him, don't give him insurance. He or she made the choice. But we want to know that that individual had an opportunity and he didn't take it. Sign off.
Okay, the only way to prove that is not by them coming to the meeting. Because we could send them multiple notices, they ignore them, and still tell you they didn't get anything.
Does every employee have email?
No,
No.
no.
Okay.
But we send out a letter to every employee of stuff. I get them. If that was the proof that you showed up at a meeting like Jeff did, that's fine. But you're going to have scores of people, a number of those, police and fire, because of their shifts, who don't want to come into another meeting. And are we going to deny them in health insurance? Or do we get a master list and said, we sent it to everybody and here it is, but 22 people decided not to come? Is that sufficient?
Yeah, I don't think Commissioner Denning's suggesting that anybody be denied health insurance. All he's wanting to do is to try to find out if there is a way that it can be recorded that everybody was afforded the opportunity to attend a meeting, and those who attend the meeting sign off that they were there and they were provided the information. That's all he's looking for.
Yeah, we could go through, I'm just trying to work out how to do it.
I understand. So am I.
So we can make a master list that all finance employees were notified on March 1st, 15th, and 20th, that there'll be a meeting on March 31st. Now, is that sufficient proof that we put everybody's name on a master list that they were informed?
Put it on whatever kind of list we want to put it on. I want to know who was there March 31st. I don't care who's at home. If they want to stay at home, stay at home. I want to know who was there.
We can work.
We can do that easily, because we do that
sign-in
now.
sheet.
Lori can give you the list of people tomorrow who came to all our meetings. What's really fascinating about this is our outreach is exceptional. We have a person who has worked with all of us, who helps us solve problems with our health, our ombudsman who handles every bit of our health problems. And that's rare to have in a company this small, to have someone who's dedicated every day to informing the employees and handling their problems. So,
But can we, as a city, mayor and city commission, ask for things?
Sure, I'm trying to figure out how
But,
to,
but every time there is a question posed up here, there's always seemed like there is, we're doing great, and a fight against what we're asking for. I don't think
Joe,
I'm
we will
asking-
give the list tomorrow
I
to
don't think
everybody who
we-
came to every meeting, and we'll provide it to the full commission. If that's the will of the commission, we'll do that tomorrow. We'll have Lori give the complete census of everybody who signed up for meetings.
Kevin, I don't know that she kept a record of who attended each meeting.
Oh.
I mean, she went to fire stations, each station, each shift, but I don't believe she kept, here's who was there, who wasn't there. People that weren't there, she mailed their packets to them.
Oh, just a suggestion that I think resolves the problem. I realize that my full-time work is a much smaller number of people that are supervised in the city of Bowling Green. But every time I have a staff meeting where we talk about changes to what we're doing, everybody signs off that they attended the staff meeting. They print their name and then they sign their name, and then I just collect those. And then if there's a question later about, I didn't hear about something, then I have that as proof that they either did or did not attend. And I realize that doesn't address the fact that people didn't attend, but I think that's what Commissioner Denning is looking for. I think it's a simple sign-off sheet, I think, is all he's driving at.
I mean, we'll definitely start it now, but she sent out information to everybody, and then she followed up with meetings. And some places where there were some issues, she went back and had multiple meetings for the same unit. She broke down some groups and met with 5 or 6 at a time, because they didn't seem to want to talk in front of a group of 30. But there was no need or no reason for her to have to go through and have everyone sign off that they sat with her, because they were going to get this packet anyway that they have to review and return in order to have insurance next year. But we'll definitely, I mean, that's something she'll start. She goes quarterly. A lot of times it's Q&A. It's not like she's got something she wants to talk about, but she'll start keeping a register of who attended. But again, it's their choice whether they come or not.
I don't know if it helps, Michael, but, when I give my employees something that I want to make sure that we acknowledge that they've received, I have a section of it that they sign that they received it, and they tear that section off and give that section back to me. Then that way I know that they've received the new policy. If something like that helps in the future, you might want to consider that.
We have that, and we have that for our policy manual.
Yeah.
When I was a Kentucky State Trooper in the 70s, 1970s, start off with, 16 posts in the state of Kentucky, 16 state police posts. At that particular time, it was probably 700 Kentucky State Troopers. Commander in Frankfort, if he wanted to know something, he would send a note, memo, email, I don't even think it was emails back in 1970, to each one of the 16 posts. Each one of the 16 posts had X number of troopers. One may have 30, one may have 15, but all 16 posts, if he wanted something back by Friday, and it's Tuesday, from all troopers, all units, he would have it back from all 16 posts by Friday, that every trooper, whether he was working that day, whether he came to a meeting, or whether he was at home, responded to his command within that time period. And the only thing they did was get the information to their captain, and the captain sent it to the commander. Every trooper. And we have emails and everything else here today. I don't see where it'd be a problem.
And I think we're at Municipal Order 2017-203.
Municipal order authorizing change order number 2 to the contract with Charles DeWeese Construction Incorporated of Franklin, Kentucky for Small House Road Improvements Phase 1 in the amount of $119,000 for a total project cost of $2,853,060.99.
So moved.
Second.
Perigin, second.
Thank you, Mayor. We're at substantial completion of Small House Phase 1. thought it'd be, and we're here tonight to ask you to approve a change order to finish the project. It might be helpful for Greg to come forward to answer any questions you may have about the change order.
Comments or questions for Mr.?
One question, if I may. In reading the memo, Mr. Meredith, that came from Mr. DeFebo, it says originally there was only enough erosion control blanket provided in the contract to account for the drainage basins. And then it says a decision was made to install additional erosion control blanket, which accounts for the majority of the amount of money that we're spending on, at least the majority on one item. Who made the decision that we needed more erosion control blanket and that we weren't going to go along with the plan that we had to begin with?
Did.
Pardon me?
I did.
Okay. Sorry, it came from that speaker, so I thought
No,
someone
no.
spoke down there.
That's good.
Okay. All right.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning?
Yes.
Nash?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Municipal Order 2017-204.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting bid number 2018-04 for the Stormwater Mitigation Program related to Fifth Avenue drainage improvements from Scott and Ritter Incorporated of Bowling Green, Kentucky, in the amount of $170,541.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Williams.
As the commission knows, our three big priorities are sidewalks, paving, and stormwater. We're here tonight to fulfill the third part of that goal, to make improvements to Fifth Avenue drainage. We had three bidders. The lowest bidder was Scott and Ritter. Greg is here if you have any particular questions about this project under our water mitigation program.
Comments or questions? Call the roll.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning? Nash?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Yes. Municipal Order 2017-205.
Municipal order amending municipal order number 2017-186 to rescind the award approving bid number 2018-19 related to police locker rooms and bathroom renovations from Parker Construction of Round Hill, Kentucky, in the amount of $228,400, and to authorize the award to the next lowest bidder, Lanham Brothers General Contractors Incorporated of Owensboro, Kentucky, in the amount of $288,534.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Nash. Mr. Febo.
As part of our attempt to maintain our assets, we're here tonight to ask you to approve a bid that will effectuate the rehab of two locker rooms, basically from internal ground up, and to rehabilitate 9 restrooms. We had 5 bidders. One of the bidders, who was the lowest, could not issue a bid bond. So in our judgment, we decided to go to the next bidder. Greg can explain that if you have any questions about the need to go to the contract firm that could provide the bid bond to protect the city. But our recommendation is to go with Lanham of Owensboro.
Questions or comments? Call the roll.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning?
Yes.
Nash?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Yes. Order 2017-206.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting bid the purchase of an additional 3/4-ton full-size truck under bid number 2018-25 for the Parks and Recreation Department from Glenn's Freedom Dodge of Lexington, Kentucky, in the amount of $28,720.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Williams. Mr. Febo.
We're here again to purchase another needed vehicle, this time a 3/4-ton vehicle for Park and Rec Department. We had 6 bidders. The lowest bidder was Freedom Dodge. It's our recommendation that we honor the lowest bidder and go with the purchase. Brent's here if you have any questions about how he plans to use this asset in his department.
Comments or questions?
Williams?
Yes.
Denning?
Yes.
Nash?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Yes. Municipal Order 2017-207.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting bid number 2018-26 for Kiriakis Park parking lot paving and striping from Scotty's Contracting and Stone LLC of Bowling Green, Kentucky, in the amount of $32,486.87.
So moved.
Second.
Perigin, second by Williams. Febo.
Commission will remember we made a decision to tear down, what was the Trax rental at Kiriakis Park. For a while, we provided a some base stone there, and now are ready to pave that and stripe it and to add much-needed parking. We had two bidders, and the low bidder was Scott Contracting and Stone. They will do both the paving and the striping. Brent is here if you have any questions.
Comments or questions?
Brent, I've been made aware, and I think you know, that the Little League is interested in changing swapping the major league and the minor league field. And they're also interested in installing new lighting, what is on the current minor league field, which would be the major league field. You and I talked about that some months ago. Will this paving hinder, help, or have no effect on that change if it came along?
It was actually part of the larger plan for that. What you're mentioning is something we've approached the board out. It's new lighting, reorientating the fields, of which is the major and minor league field, new scoreboard, increasing the fence from 220 to 225, and then the greenways may be affected on the bottom field a little bit, but we feel like that's the best way to go to get to 225. It's hard to do that on the current major league field and not approaching the trail. So it's all part of that. It won't affect the parking lot or vice versa.
Thank you.
Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Nash.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2017-208.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting bid number 2017-63 for Enterprise Content Management Solution from ImageSoft Incorporated of Southfield, Michigan, in an amount not to exceed $375,000.
So moved.
Second.
Perigin, second by Nash. Mr. DeFebo.
Thank you, Mayor. I would ask Lynn Hartley to come forward to talk about this important procurement. Lynn?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. We have a product that we just referred to as DM that's been here quite a few years. It is essentially just more or less a repository for most of our documents. It allows people to store things in there. They're backed up, and then they can have a number of means of searching on those documents. Over the past couple of years, it's kind of evolved into the need really for something more of an enterprise type product that would be fully integrated, that would encompass some of the functionality that we already have, not only in this product, but in a couple of other products, and also add some additional functionality. Initially, we had conversations with OpenText, which is the owner of our current DM product. I was very hopeful that we would be able to expand our current product. As it is, they provided some solutions, but it was not a true integrated system. It was just kind of piecemeal things that interface with each other, and the cost was rather prohibitive, even though we already own the document management system. So we kind of did our due diligence and worked with them, and they are a big company, actually has several products that would fit, but they were all rather cost prohibitive even when we looked at one of their other products. So we went out on bid. Several things, if I could explain, that we expect to accomplish with this new product. One is a replacement for our current DM, but not just moving things over. We expect to take our time, work with each department, let them organize the documents like they want, set up security, so it'll be an opportunity to kind of reestablish, get things more organized for existing documents. We also have scanning software that's a standalone product, but it interfaces with our current DM product. The new product that we're purchasing will have its own integrated scanning product contained in that. We also have a standalone product right now that we've done some work for online forms and approval, so that reduces paperwork. It's pretty much user friendly, but it's not too friendly for those developing the works. It requires a lot of behind the scenes coding, and it takes a lot of time. So the new product that we're looking at has a very easy tool for building forms and workflows, so that we can take a lot of our miscellaneous forms that we have now that don't fit into a particular system like New World, and we can hopefully reach a point where most of those will be online. You fill them out, they'll go through an online approval process, and we'll have everything electronic, and the only paper would be if just someone chooses to print it out. Then there are some functions that we don't currently have that this product will give us. One of those that is actually a public-facing portal. Currently, as an example, this particular meeting, the agenda for this meeting is stored in DM. It's also put out on our website. but it takes two processes to do that. With the new product we have, there will actually be a direct link for the public-facing portal that would tie into the system. Of course, being a secured environment, we determine which forms so that whoever wants to put the agenda, they would only have to store it in this system and they're done. Everything would then be immediately available to the public. They would only have one process. And that's just one example of the public-facing part. The new product also has what we would call records retention. It would have an actual formal policy that we could apply to certain records so that they would meet the Kentucky Archives and Library Department's policies. We can apply those to records so that it would automatically come up and let us know these records need to be deleted or archived. And then finally, there's, as you know, we have a new records retention area, I guess you call it, in the back of Annex, that this product will also is going to be used to handle those records. So not just electronic documents, but it'll have a tool for telling us where physical records are, check in, check out, that type thing. So this is one of those products. I bring a number of things to you all sometimes. It's just kind of keeping the ship afloat, if you will. I've been here almost 11 years, and I would say this is one of those that I think really has a lot of potential for the employees that I would put right up there, probably top 5, maybe even top 3, that I'm excited about as far as potential that we can do some good things with the employees. And let's see if anything else. I did want to say, too, that the product itself is called OnBase, and the reseller that we're planning on working with is ImageSoft. We didn't just use their references. We did a lot of work internally to find additional municipalities and companies that used the product and also used ImageSoft, and overwhelming positive responses on both of those. And finally, I'd like to say that Donna Kent on the back row here is our account rep from ImageSoft. We did not ask her to come tonight. She flew in from Michigan just to be here for this meeting. So I think that says a lot about them and their commitment to the project. So that being said, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Comments or questions?
I have. Sue? No, go ahead.
$375,000 for this contract, right?
Sir. Well, not to exceed. It's based on hourly. With the quote we have that we negotiated is $342. Obviously, a project of this size, there could be a change order. My gut tells me we'll be a lot closer to the $342 than the $375. But we do have $375 budgeted.
My question is, of the other bidders, we do not show any prices for them. Is there any reason for that?
Sir, I did put the scoring. I think I'll be happy to provide those to you if you like. I can send those to you. I can tell you the range was we had upwards of in excess of 600,000. So this was probably a midpoint, and there are a ton of document management and content management solutions out there, Joe. A lot of them that are lower cost would be fine for small business. For us, it would be a step backwards. So we're pretty much in the middle.
I wasn't questioning good, bad, or evil or anything. I was just concerned why we didn't show.
I'll be happy to provide that if you'd like that, sure. Yeah.
We don't typically do that on a request for proposals because it's not necessarily an apples-to-apples comparison between the companies. Some companies may do, and Lynn helped me with some terminology, they may do set pricing for 100 employees or less, and then there's an additional cost for, up to 500 employees. Or there could be one that's a per license user cost. So not everybody's equal. And so we don't typically, on request for proposals, because cost is not 100% of the decision, we don't include that information on the bid tabulation, which is what you're looking at there. But that information is available if you'd like to have it.
What do we send out to each one of these people for them to submit anything? What type of a document?
It's a request for proposals, so it would, they have, in this particular instance, there were multiple questions that each company had to respond back to about their product.
Several hundred, I think over 300 questions to
Yeah.
respond to.
And then they provided a cost comparison, whether or not they did a per-user cost or if they did a block cost, cost for service maintenance. So there could be any number of things, but when we put that RFP out there, we didn't know exactly the number of users or the type of setup we wanted to use to determine cost. So it was a little difficult for the companies to say, you know, it's going to cost X dollars, because at that point we really weren't clear on how we wanted to establish that. So we used the request for proposal to kind of help narrow the decision down based on some other factors, and then determine cost once we had a better picture with the one or two companies that we were looking at closer.
It's okay. I don't want to. I'm just wondering, and you may not be able to answer this right now, but you're kind of doing away with some of the current things that you have today, like the scanning software and some other things that are integrated into this. Is there savings by not renewing those maintenance agreements and those software programs that will go into help financing this?
I would have to look at the maintenance costs for their 3 products we currently have that we're doing away with. Top of my head, I would say the ongoing annual maintenance cost is probably going to be about a wash, but we're getting a lot more added functionality. So we will be doing more for about the same money. Yeah. I mean, ongoing after the project cost. Yes.
That's all. I just
Okay.
I don't know that we look at those things.
Fair question. That's a good question. Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? Call the roll.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning?
Yes.
Nash?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Yes. Municipal Order 2017-209.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting bid number 2017-77 for Riverwalk Park Ornamental Light Replacement Project from Consolidated Electrical Distributors of Bowling Green, Kentucky, in the amount of $29,195.19.
So moved.
Second.
Perigin, second by Nash.
Sorry.
As the commission knows, any of us who've gone to Riverwalk Park knows that the illumination has its limitations. We're here tonight to ask you to change that system and put a better type lighting, an LED type lighting. Same lighting we're hoping to put on our streets, and that will require us to purchase the systems necessary to do that. Brent is here. If you want to briefly explain to them, Brent, what your goals are for this project.
If you're familiar with the history of the lights, they arrived around 2006. Been a great addition to the park, beautiful scenery for the park, and I think a lot of the citizens have enjoyed it. As time has gone on in the past 11 years, the system now is not replaceable. In other words, when a bulb goes out, we can't replace it. When the system goes out, if you go down, one of the unique features about the system, it changed colors, and it could do so in a lot of different, I guess, form or fashion. That is not possible any longer because we can't. They don't make the parts to replace the over 11-year-old system now. This will be upgrading that system, be a computer system, LED system, and as you know, LEDs have come a long ways in 11 years, and this will, similar to what Lynn's talking about with features and such, we're going to have a replacement lighting system that's going to be even more capabilities and more abilities to show off what can be done there. But it will be very similar in size and scope of the look of the current lighting system. The actual appearance will be very similar.
Comments or questions? Yes, sir.
One of the items that I plan to discuss at the special work session fall retreat, but chose not to because the day ran long and people seemed ready to leave, was improvements to the Old Louisville Road corridor. I've been meeting with property owners up and down Old Louisville Road, and one of the improvements discussed in these meetings is the suggestion that same or similar lighting that is in Riverwalk Park potentially be placed along the bridge, the Old Louisville Road Bridge, if the city in fact owns the Old Louisville Road Bridge. I've had lots of different debates with different people. We do not own it. So other lighting, if not on the bridge, there are portions of Old Louisville Road that the city does own. No, none of it. Pardon me?
We own the property on both sides of the bridge.
Correct. So not the roadway, but property on both
property, yes, sir.
sides.
The property
Is
on
if we
sides.
could string some lighting that is similar to what is currently in Riverwalk Park along one side of that road as a way to tie Old Louisville Road into the park. There have been lots of improvements that have been made to Old Louisville Road in the past few years. These group of property owners are interested in a number of different things, including, potentially changing the name, adding lighting, and doing other kinds of improvements. Is there any way to attach 2017-209 into, at a minimum, exploring what the cost of installing additional lights on the side, say, of where the current landfill and the walking trail is? There are lots of exciting ideas that are going on in that area, and it's an area that could use improvement.
Let me answer. First off, this is 56 globes associated with the park. That's what this cost would be.
Yes.
Any additional services would be to exceed what we have in front of us.
Understand that.
And we do have, through NCS, we actually have a rather large scope of a project that would tie in what we'll call the landfill section of the park to what is the current Weldon Pete side of the park. Even through Public Works, we are, looking to try to connect the park, those two sections under the bridge through a walkway. So as far as additional lighting, I don't think it would be out of question for us to look at ways we can improve lighting and through our larger scope of the park. But with this current project, this would just focus in on the park itself. If you're asking us to look at other ways to light, that's by all means, we could definitely look at that and see how we could do that. I can speak for myself. I'm not sure how we could do that with this current bid, but we can definitely look at how we can improve lighting for future opportunities.
It is my understanding, and I could be wrong, I often am, but that the consolidated electrical distributors that we're working with, that company is the company that knows the most about the lights that are in the current park.
Is correct. They are.
So I'm not asking.
They're the only bidder on this current project.
So I'm not asking that new lights be installed as a part of this bid, but if they're the only ones who know about that particular type of lighting, can we ask them to give us what they believe would be the cost of installing similar lighting along the Old Louisville Road on the landfill side on property that the city owns?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Call the roll.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning?
Yes.
Nash?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Municipal Order 2017-210.
Municipal order approving a contract through cooperative purchase with AT&T Corporation of Conyers, Georgia, under the Kentucky State Pricing Contract for the purchase of Airbus Vesta 911 phone system in the amount of $420,000.
So moved.
Second.
By Perigin, second by Nash. Mr. Febo.
Thank you, Mayor. As the commission knows, we're the PSAP for both the city and for the county. We need a modern phone system to allow us to provide that function. We received a grant of $245,000 from Homeland Security to upgrade our communication equipment at the 911 center to install what is known as a new generation. We also have money in our budget to apply to that 245 to bring it to 420,000 to provide that new system. I've asked Doug to give you a brief overview of what that new generation of communication gear is needed at our PSAP. Doug?
Thank you, Mr. DeFebo. Mayor and Commissioners, appreciate your time on this matter. As we have talked about before, the 911 phone system at the Bowling Green Police Department, which services virtually every 911 caller in Warren County, that system is at end of life and no longer being supported by the manufacturer. And however, we're also at a time in that technology where the state and the federal governments are asking us to move toward, and asking all agencies who answer 911 phone calls to move toward what's called next generation or next gen 911. And both of the solutions available to us move us in that direction. As Mr. DeFebo said, this is a fairly extensive project for which we have a reimbursement grant, and we appreciate the state Homeland Security providing us some funding for that project. There are two vendors, well, there are two products, not two vendors, two products, one offered by Cassidian, one offered by Airbus. Both of those are third-party software and hardware solutions offered through AT&T. AT&T has a relationship with both of these solutions. We, members of the Bowling Green Police Department, primarily through our communications center, were able to experience demonstrations of both of these products. They have recommended the Airbus product, which is an Airbus Vesta. Both of these products are available through state contract pricing. We chose that route in terms of the way to purchase the product. If I can, just as a matter of education, I think it's important for folks to understand what the next gen actually is, and I'm going to read a little excerpt that I pulled from the internet that I think explains it. It says, for more than 40 years, the 911 systems have served the needs of the public in emergencies. Next Gen 911 will enhance 911 systems to create a faster, more flexible, resilient, and scalable system that allows 911 to keep up with communication technology used by the public. Put simply, Next Gen 911 is an internet protocol-based system that allows digital information such as voice, photos, videos, and text messages to flow seamlessly from the public through the 911 network and onto emergency responders. While the technology to implement next-gen 911 systems is available now, the transition involves much more than just new computers. Implementing next-gen 911 will include activities of many people who will coordinate efforts to plan and deploy continually evolving systems of hardware, software, standards, policies, protocols, and training. And so I guess in short is the technology exists for this, for the beginning of the next Gen 911, but not every question has been answered. Not every technology has been developed inside of this product. With additional expense and investment, we will be able to begin the texting to 911 technology. That requires additional cost, additional training for our staff, but that is one of the things we're looking forward to. But all of that is not available today, but we're creating the backbone for which that will then become available to us. And so we think this is an important investment. We think that for our community, this is a needed investment, and we're asking for permission to purchase the product that we feel like is best for our community, which is the Airbus Vesta product. And that will then be installed by AT&T, and then we will get our service through AT&T. It's important to note, and I think the mayor, when we brought this project before the commission before, reminded me that right now we're spending about $12,000 or $13,000 a month for AT&T phone service because we're using old, and I think it's T1 or T something technology. We expect our costs to go down about 50%, so somewhere in the $6,000 range. So the return on investment and to be able to pay for that product with the savings will happen fairly quickly in a 2 or 2.5 year period of time. We'll actually be saving money by investing in this product.
Comments or questions?
What would be the time frame, Doug, as far as completion time? I know it's going to take a while. When will, from start date to you finish, everybody that is connected, are you looking at?
AT&T says that once the contract is signed, it's about a 4-month project. They have to assign a project manager. Usually takes them about 4 months to get all of the hardware, software, and install that. So Assuming we can get that done fairly quickly, we would be looking at something in early 2018 for a completion date.
Anything else? Please call the roll.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning?
Yes.
Nash?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Yes. Municipal Order 2017-211.
Municipal order authorizing change order number 4 to the contract with Scott and Murphy Incorporated of Bowling Green, Kentucky for the fiscal year 2017 Fountain Square Park Rehabilitation Project related to bid number 2017-41 in the amount of $36,900 for a total project cost of $537,557.
So moved.
Second.
By Perigin, second by Williams. Mr. DeFebo.
Thank you, Mayor. As all of us know, rehabilitation of Fountain Square Park is probably about at least a half to not three-quarters done. We're here tonight to approve what we believe are some needed change orders and changes to what we want to do at the park to enhance its style and viewability. Kate's going to explain those to you. Kate?
What we're proposing in this particular change order and the bulk of the cost, about $33,000, is to add 2 planters, taking our existing round landscape areas, which right now have about a 4-inch, trip hazard, thank you, about a 4 area that we want to build basically a planter, build a brick wall. It'll be a feature that will match the brick that's around the fountain base itself. So it'll be kind of a way to bring all of the look and the aesthetics of the park together, and then creating a better planting area at the end. I think there is a rendering in each of your packets that Jay Dougherty had prepared. I think it's a beautiful accent for the park. And that's the bulk of what we're doing. The other piece of that change order, about $3,000 worth, is to take what we currently have now, our 11 to 14 small footstone plaques, inscriptions, and inlaying those flush with the ground at the new bench pad areas. So they would be inlaid into the cement area. I think they'll be seen better because right now they're hidden in landscaping throughout the park. And so we would essentially just relocate those to where they have a better opportunity to be seen and appreciated, and then also have them not be a trip hazard any further as we have it now. Any questions that I can help respond to?
Comments or questions?
We do anticipate the fountain's return somewhere on or about November 6th, I think it is. We have talked about doing a ribbon cutting for the new fountain. We have some new uplighting for the fountain we're excited to show off. And then this project will still also be completed in time to do our annual Holiday Lights Up project closer to December.
Anything else? Please call the roll.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning?
Yes.
Nash?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Yes. First reading of ordinance BG 2017-50.
Ordinance rezoning real estate, ordinance rezoning a tract of land containing 0.48 acre from RE residential estate to LI light industrial located on Bristow Road, presently owned by Luther Daniel Eidson, with Michael Burton doing business as Burton's Towing as contract vendee.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Williams. Looks like it's a unanimous recommendation from Planning and Zoning for the rezoning. Are there any comments or questions for Mr. Peterson? Please call the roll.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning?
Yes.
Nash?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Yes. Municipal Order 2017-212.
Municipal order authorizing the acceptance of brownfields assessment grant funds from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency in the amount of $300,000.
So moved.
Motion by Nash, second by Perigin. Mr.
Thank you, Mayor. Most communities of any age have some remnants of a former industrial past. These remnants are found in inspectors of abandoned buildings that are left in the community for the new community to deal with. We here in Bowling Green have a similar problem, and we're here tonight to start to provide a solution to those what are known as brownfield buildings or sites. Brent's going to come forward, Brent Childers, and explain to you what we're trying to do. Brent?
Thank you, Mr. City Manager, Mayor, Commissioners. The Brownfields program is an exciting opportunity to continue to make investments in what we call the BG reinvestment area. And that's going to be our prime focus with this Brownfields EPA grant, is really looking at how can we take some of the blighted properties that are in that area, work with property owners, do environmental assessments, phase 1, phase 2 type assessments, to know what the issues are that are inhibiting redevelopment, inhibiting the highest and best use of property, and put those properties back into the fold of properties to create better opportunities for affordable housing, public park space, business development, those types of facilities here in our community. So this money is going to go towards an environmental consulting firm. The RFP was released this weekend to hire a firm to come in and assist us in that. This project's actually being managed by Nick Cook and Matt Powell of Public Works. That will be working with the consulting firm that will be doing the assessments, working with the property owners, developing the relationships. And this is really the start of a long-term vision of redevelopment in some of our more vulnerable areas. Because this is the assessment, this pretty much gives us a piece of paper to tell us what is there and what is not there. A lot of times in brownfields, it's the presumption that something is there. But then also makes us able to move forward with what's called cleanup funds to then remediate potential environmental hazards, to then open up those properties for redevelopment. So we see this as a long-term step in the right direction of providing some additional developable properties in some of our most vulnerable neighborhoods. And I'll entertain any questions anyone might have.
Questions?
I think this is fantastic. I mean, more things that we can do to improve these particular areas, to make them more commercially viable and more livable for people, is something that we ought to be doing. And so I appreciate you locating this grant and pursuing it.
Yes, sir.
Follow up on that. Have we already identified the brownfields, or?
No, it's
that's
a
part of his
volunteer
process?
program. That's part of the process, and it's really up to the property owner to say, yes, come in and tell me what I have or don't have. So we've identified an area of concentration, and because generally, like most towns, our economy started on a river, then it moved to a railroad, and then it moved to an interstate. And so like many of those similar towns that have a river, the remnants of that industrial age that Mr. DeFebo was talking about, it's along the river and then the railroad. And so that's where our primary focus will be, but we have not targeted specific, we're going to do these 12 properties, no.
Comments or questions? Call the roll.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning?
Yes.
Nash?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Yes. Municipal Order 2017-213.
Municipal order waiving provisions of Chapter 22, Traffic and Motor Vehicles of the City of Bowling Green Code of Ordinances, and approving donation of police services to the BG 26.2 and half marathon special events to be held on November 5th, 2017.
So moved?
Second.
By Nash, second by Perigin. Mr. Nash, you want to take this?
Yeah, if I could, before Ryan speaks. I sponsored this item on tonight's agenda because I'm in favor of continuing city services and the police exemption for the Bowling Green 26.2 Marathon. This particular item on tonight's agenda comes with a cost of $9,279. And those are costs related to BGPD officers keeping runners safe throughout the marathon route. But I believe that while $9,279 is nothing to shake a stick at it, the benefits far outweigh the costs. This particular event shows off the majority of our community to people who otherwise might not see it. This event draws runners from all over the Commonwealth of Kentucky, as well as from multiple different states, and in the past have even had runners from other countries. It gives participants a full view of what Bowling Green has to offer, because different than some of the shorter races that occur in Bowling Green, this covers a much larger swath of the community. The route goes through downtown, on Western's campus, around Bowling Green Ballpark, around medical complexes, up Cherry Hill, and into many of the fine neighborhoods that are in Bowling Green. And unlike shorter races, marathons have a different set of challenges. So many of the runners come to town the night before a race, and so they stay in our hotels and they visit our restaurants and they shop in our shops, where many of the smaller races do not. And so our area feels an immediate positive financial impact because the length of the race requires people to do something different than the shorter races. When many of the runners are running, they see sights, they see activities, much like while it does not go by the Aviation Heritage Park, I know they're on tonight's agenda. They see amenities like this in our community, and when the race is over, whether it's that day or the following day, which is another night in a hotel room, they stay and they take their families and they go back and they visit these different amenities that we have in the community. The event raises money for charities, particularly the National MS Association. But in addition, this event raises money for local charities. And one of those is in cooperation with the Kiwanis Club of Bowling Green, which I proudly acknowledge I am a member in the interest of transparency. But in cooperation with Kiwanis, proceeds from this event are used to set up an after-school run club at Parker Bennett Elementary. The run club provides an opportunity for kids to participate in a positive activity that can have immediate and both long-term effects, not only on their health but on their education. And it provides food and shirts and water bottles, Gatorade, and even shoes to some of the most dedicated participants. And many of the students who are the benefactors of these items typically would not be able to afford them on their own. And so before I turn the mic over to Ryan, who has more to say, I just hope that following what Ryan has to say, my colleagues on the commission will join me in continuing to support this event's city services exemption. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Reed, do you have some comments for us?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and may it please the Mayor and the Commissioners, it's my privilege to be before you tonight, once again on behalf of BG 26.2 and Half Marathon Incorporated. My colleagues and I on the Planning Committee, they're actually meeting right now, and I'm here, but we have all been very busy putting this year's series of races together. As I think you're aware, we have the marathon, we have a half marathon, we have a 6K event, which is a 6,000 kilometer event, and also the BG Kids 26.2, a kids-only race that is probably, frankly, our fastest growing segment. We're excited for race day on the first Sunday in November. That's November the 5th, and we certainly invite and hope to see you folks back down with us again on race day. Why is BG 26.2 and Half Marathon Inc. here? That's a simple question, and I want to offer what I think is a simple answer. We're here to ask you once again, as this body has done for each of the last 4 years, to undertake the simple act of tossing a stone into the water, of causing simple but powerful ripples upon ripples to flow through that water and to impact the shoreline. We're here to ask you to deploy your leadership and your influence to once again, as the body has done for each of the last 4 years, to add the full public contribution to what we believe has been a remarkable and a successful public-private partnership. And by casting that stone into this water each of the last 4 years, we believe this body has made enormous ripples in the small pond, if you will, that is our community, but also meaningful ripples in a larger pond that is the region and state. Those ripples have been made in our immediate community, partially in the ways that Mr. Nash has said, Commissioner Nash has said, and we appreciate your attention to those, sir. But the impact on the community has been immediate and direct and is only growing. We believe that in large measure, because we've been able to point to the City of Bowling Green and to the City Commission as supporting our race, we've been privileged to partner with some of the most recognizable names in local business and industry. Sponsors of our race include corporate citizens like MedCenter Health, Reynolds Sealing and Striping, Prairie Farms, Graves Gilbert Clinic, Fruit of the Loom, ServPro of Warren County, and Clark Beverage Group. Those are just some of those. We also uniquely this year have the support of civic groups like the Kiwanis Club of Bowling Green, as was mentioned, along with the Bowling Green Rotary Club. These groups and organizations recognize, as this body has recognized for the past 4 years, that a community of this size and of this vibrancy needs a race of this type. in order to improve the fabric of the community and the quality of life, especially, I think, an active, healthy lifestyle, to prove that those things are available to those who live and work here. And I know these are the same critical factors that come up over and over again for you when you meet and talk with business leaders, prospects, whether small or large, who are looking to locate businesses like theirs in places like Bowling Green. These corporate citizens that I mentioned are major employers. They are major contributors to this community, and businesses who are here and who are growing and who I think have signaled by their support of our race that they consider or that they see in this race something that is critical to Bowling Green and something that contributes to what it means to be a citizen of this community. So we believe your choice to continue to invest in our race serves as an investment in the community fabric that I mentioned, in the quality of life, and really is no different than the parks-related plans and expenditures that you've already voted on or will vote on later tonight. And we believe your investment in our race aligns the city with those visionary and highly respected corporate citizens and civic groups who, along with our nonprofit corporation, have formed the private side of this successful public-private partnership. And then I want to say a word or two about the ripples that your actions have been causing in the bigger pond of our state and our region. And again, Commissioner Nash has stolen a little of my thunder there, but I'm happy to emphasize these things. What he didn't tell you is that for the second year in a row, the Bowling Green Half Marathon race has been designated as the Kentucky State Championship Half Marathon by the national organization called Roadrunners Clubs of America. And so this year we will crown 8 separate state champions across the genders and age groups right here in Bowling Green. That half marathon race is also again this year part of a race series called the Kentucky Mad Halfers, which entices runners to complete a race here in Bowling Green along with other fall half marathons in Frankfort and in Renfro Valley. To our knowledge, our marathon is the only fall marathon in the entire Commonwealth. And it, of course, has, we like to brag, the added distinction of once again being a qualifying race for runners who are seeking to qualify to run in the prestigious Boston Marathon. We're having great success this year in attracting runners from national groups like the Marathon Maniacs. That's actually a group name, the 50 States Marathon Club and others. And so for literally hundreds of runners, this race puts this city on their map. They come to Bowling Green, and when they come here as our guests, I submit to you that they should see that we continue to have and that we will always have the support, the full support of the City of Bowling Green and of this City Commission. I could go on and on talking to you about, I think, all the reasons that you should pledge the city's full support of this race with a full waiver of the fees associated with police services. The truth is I would be repeating some of the same reasons that I've expressed to you in years past when I've been here and when you saw fit in response to those to grant the full waiver that we're requesting. And I have to confess, even though I've got a meeting to get to, that if I was feeling a little more adventurous or maybe a little more zealous, I might be standing here advocating to you the idea that we truly believe in, which is that we should be granted a full permanent waiver of the fees associated with this race and grandfathered in from this request. But that's not our request tonight. Our request is a humble request for the contribution and donation of the $9,200 and some odd dollars that Mr. Nash has mentioned, and to do again what this body has done for each of the past 4 years, to make this investment in the community fabric that I discussed, and to make this investment in the quality of life here, to again lob that stone into the water and cause the ripples in our community and in our region and in our state. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you have, and thank you for your support.
Was the initial agreement you would only be asking for the police services for a period of 3 years, then we went into another year?
I can tell you, Commissioner Denning, that I was not part of the committee at the time that that was brought here with that understanding. I would say to you that I cannot imagine that we would say we would never come back and ask again. But even if that were the case, I think it was negotiated at a point in time when none of us understood the full scope of what this race could come to mean for this community. We will again this year attract runners from nearly 36 states. We again this year have a runner, or I think it's 3 runners from outside of the country. These are coming from Canada this year. And that was at a time when we had not understood the full impact that we could cause by adding things like the Bowling Green 6,000 race and especially the kids-only race. We are building a foundation for this race that we believe will promote the healthy and active lifestyle for kids in this community, that will allow us to do things like to give back into the schools by creating and encouraging run clubs. We've been able to bring with the city's great cooperation and leadership, the idea of what is now called the Loops at Lovers Lane into existence. And I can, without hopefully giving away too much, we're trying to find a way, due to interest that has been expressed, to get that course out there certified to host a 5K. And that's only itself a building block to perhaps looking at that course as a host for a regional cross-country tournament. And all those things are symbiotic to us because they tie back into the excitement and enthusiasm that we're able to generate from this race.
So the staff has submitted to us the amount of the $91 and $9,200, and you asking, or the group is asking us to waive that 91 and 92 and give police protection for this race free to the marathon group.
That's our request, yes, sir.
And we've already given in past races 50% of that to the group.
In fairness, and my understanding, again, my involvement came at a later time. In year one, my understanding is that there was a 50% waiver and that we paid the balance, or those associated with producing the race paid the balance. That years 2 through 5 collectively amounted to a full waiver of each of those years, and that a 50% waiver being a matter of city policy is already available and in place for our race for this year. And we're asking you to deploy your leadership on this topic and to show the community the type of investment that the city is willing to make into this race.
91 or 92 for this year is certainly more than it was last year. Is that correct? Anybody have
Not having those in front of me, I think it's very closely in line. Our course has not changed in the last 4 or 5 years, and after a couple of years of experience, we really were able to dial in with the exceptional leadership of those from the Bowling Green Police Department who have liaisoned with our group exactly what our needs are, and I think they've remained pretty static.
Well, what you're saying, I'll ask the chief. So you're saying we're not would use more policemen this year than we did last year?
I don't believe we are, that we have. We probably use more today than we did in year one through the experience of recognizing where if I can, the toughest parts of the course were to control traffic and to protect our runners. I think we probably used a few more after year one than we did in year one, but I think it's been pretty static since then.
How many chief would use the race this year compared to last year?
Commissioner Denning, I don't have the document in front of me. Maybe somebody does in this room. We have an exact number, and that number after years 1 and 2, because there was a learning curve, there was also a course change during years 1 and 2, and so there has been some stability in the course now. Katie do you have that, Katie?
I have it right here,
Sue's
Doug.
got it on her phone right here.
You got 46.
Okay.
1 captain, 41 MPOs, and 5 cadets.
Right. That number is going to stay fairly consistent from year to year as long as the course doesn't change. The thing that will increase costs from year to year to year is as each year goes past, the calculated cost per officer goes up, and so there is a modest increase in the cost to the community for this event, but it would 2 or 3% maybe, something like that.
Doug, you have a total cost of $18,558.36 for the services.
If there were a 100% reimbursement on that, it would be the 18,000 number. The nonprofits would get a 50% discount on that, which is where the $9,200 fee or figure comes into play. So the city has by its own policy, they already waive 50% of the cost for a nonprofit, and I think what this group is asking for is the waiver of the additional 50% balance.
My comments, Mr. Reed, thank you. I don't believe anybody has any more questions for you, but my comments have to do with the original agreement, which was a 3-year agreement, and they would be on their own. We extended it 1 year just to make certain that you were solid in what you were doing, so I wouldn't be supportive of waiving the entire amount. I hope you would not be surprised nor disappointed that I would, go to our original agreement and so forth, because I know what's coming from the city side. You heard tonight, we've spent a ton of money, and it costs a lot of money to run a city. And when we set up this policy in 2009, I guess it was, when the recession hit, we had to allow nonprofits to make their own way, and we weaned them off from the city's funding levels. But we wanted to keep interest and action with nonprofits, and that's why we instituted the policy of the 50% waiver. We recognized what a great event it was, and that's why we did the initial startup cost to help you with it. But like I told Matt in the email, people don't contribute, to this nonprofit for the city unless we kind of force them to in the way of taxes. So it's important that we preserve the best we can and maintain our policy. We've got a $3.5 million bill coming next year for pension costs that is the same number of people that we had last year. So my vote will be not anything to do with your program, but to look out for this nonprofit and make sure that we have the funding available to secure the services that the city needs to provide and follow the policy that the entire commission put in place in '09.
And if I may, I'll try to keep it brief. We recognize that, and I appreciate your thoughts on that. We are mindful of the fact that as has been the case with other agenda items tonight, there's a time to maybe consider change orders, if I may use that phrase. I know that's a slightly different analogy, but we think it appropriate. The city has always included this as an avenue for an organization like ours to make this request. We feel like we owe it to the constituencies and to the groups that we serve to come back and ask the city to continue its record of support. And given that it has been since 2009, since the original policy was put in place, I believe, and I may be wrong about this, but I don't think all 5 of you were on the commission at that time. And frankly, I think those who maybe weren't ought to be given a chance to consider this anew from year to year without having their hands tied by a policy that they did not contribute to passing. So we appreciate your support either way. I must be candid about that. We are grateful to have the ability to put the city seal on our materials as a sponsor, and we'll continue to do that. We hope we can do it with, again, the full waiver of these fees so that what, again, I think is a very modest investment by the city can continue to pay the dividends to the citizens that are served by the local grants that we're able to make and those who participate and enjoy the race here and come visit our community from so far away. Thank you.
Comments or questions?
Well, I'd just like to say, Mr. Mayor, that, I agree with what's been said about this project. The race is wonderful. The money that you raise and the programs that you do and provide are wonderful. But, for me, it's just a fiscal question.
I think for me, it's about leveling the playing field for all nonprofits that need, either they need a park, or they need police protection, or they need something from the city that we kind of just say, all right, that's 50%. And look, my granddad died of multiple sclerosis. I get it, and I do anything I can for that group. But at the same time, everybody has, their passion for their nonprofit that if money were no object, we'd fund them all. But it is an object, and so just kind of keeping it fair, because the total cost here is $18,558. That's the cost. So for 4 years, we've waived that cost, and that's a substantial amount of I think, support. And then another $9,279 each year that moves forward will continue to support this cause.
Call the roll.
Williams,
No.
Denning,
No.
Nash,
Yes.
Perigin.
No.
Wilkerson.
Mr. Reed, do you understand that you are getting half of it waived, and I don't take this as any slap at your organization. It's just we're looking out for, like you said, trying to level the playing field and move forward. So
If I could be excused to get to our planning meeting,
Absolutely.
I'm going to let you all get to the rest of your business.
Thank you so much. Sorry to make you wait so long. Municipal Order 2017-214.
Municipal order approving fiscal years 2017, 2018 through 2020, 2021 capital improvement program for the city of Bowling Green, Kentucky.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mayor. A good budget process reflects various nexus of expenditures. One of those nexus is the operating budget, which we have approved recently. The second part of that process is what is known as a capital improvement program. Capital improvement is anything that is over $25,000 and lasts 5 years or more, and generally involves a separate vote of the commission as it actually is expended. We put together a planning document for the 2018 through 21 3-year period. It's important to note that even though there's a visions of what staff or others may want to do in the future, the only actual expenditures are the one in this year's budget, which is reflected in column 1. Kate and Michael managed and put together the capital improvement plan, and it's in your budget, in your document if you like any of those questions answered about any of the projected or planned capital improvements.
Although this is a 5-year document we're adopting, it's 1 year at a time that we
Yes.
consider.
Right.
We're just laying out plans, and then again, on top of that, we have to vote for each individual project. So it's not a,
Right order requires us to think in long-term concept. So we do that with the capital because the operating is volatile on a daily basis, as we know. So we did the discipline, put the document together. There should be no surprises at all in the current 218 document. The other ones are visions or thoughts of what we might need in the future. So.
questions? Please call the roll.
Williams,
Yes.
Denning,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Perigin. Do you have a vote?
Yes.
Wilkerson, sorry.
No, you voted.
Just tell her how to vote. We We tell each other how to
I
vote?
previously read the agenda, Katie, so
Thank
I
you.
knew what the content was.
Municipal Order 2017-215.
Municipal order approving recommendation from the Bowling Green Area Convention and Visitors Bureau to distribute $150,000 of transient room taxes to the Aviation Heritage Park.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Denny.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Lined up now.
One of our most vibrant examples of community volunteerism is reflected in the activities going on at Aviation Heritage Park. I think all of us have seen the vintage airplanes and jets that are located there. We're here tonight to ask you to apply $150,000 of what is known as transient room taxes, which is managed by our friends at the Convention and Visitors Bureau, to allow this volunteer body to continue with its plans, and that is to build an actual hard museum for people to understand how Bowling Green has contributed to aviation heritage. This money will be used for design and site work. Vicki is here if you have any questions, and I think principals of the Aviation Heritage Park are also in attendance.
Now all three of them back there have been halfway asleep. You didn't see that, Mary. I've been watching all three of them.
Vicki, do you have a comment for us?
Well, as you know, I've sent all the materials in. We have, if you have detailed questions, we have the team from AHP here.
Going to identify.
I'm sorry.
You're going to introduce them for us.
I'm sorry. I can't-
Introduce.
Oh, yes. We have Joe Tenius, Mac Yowell, and Keith Carwell.
Thank y'all for coming. We appreciate it. And this is off subject, I apologize. Would a program like the 26.2, where they're bringing people in from out of town to stay in hotels, would that be an eligible project for them, for the Convention and Visitors Bureau to consider?
We use this Special Tourism Projects Fund specifically for infrastructure of nonprofit attractions, but we do have a much smaller sponsorship, and I don't think they've approached us this year. Our budget is maxed out, but in future years, they may want to approach us.
Would
But-
you say something to them?
Yes, absolutely, I will.
I
I was
mean-
thinking of that if I could have talked with him after this
I
meeting.
think that would be wonderful.
Yes.
Good partnership.
It was a little
because-
late to suggest that, but I used to do the tennis tournaments, and you all always supported us with a nice sponsorship.
We budget for that, and we're happy to participate with events like that.
They need to create overnight.
Absolutely. Just as this Air Museum will.
Great, thanks. Any comments or questions? Call the roll.
Williams,
Yes.
Denning,
Yes,
Nash,
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2017-216. Thank y'all. Thanks for sticking around.
Municipal order authorizing payment to Warren County Property Valuation Administrator for fiscal year 2018.
so moved.
Second.
Motion by Denning, second by Williams.
As everyone knows, the city levies a property tax, which we take extraordinary effort to maintain that at the same rate every year if we can. The value is determined, one's property is determined by the property valuation manager, administrator at Warren County. Those evaluations are what your property's worth for taxation purposes, requires us to pay them $50,000 a year to get an assessed value for taxation. This has been the same amount, at least for the time I've been here, 11 years, and I recommend your approval.
Comments or questions? Call the roll.
Williams,
Yes.
Denning,
Yes,
Nash.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2017-17.
Municipal order approving tax increment financing district summary of 2016 incremental revenue and authorizing distributions to appropriate recipients.
So moved.
Second.
Perigin, second by Williams. Mr. DeFebo.
Thank you, Mayor. As you all know, Jeff is both our CFO and a member of the Chapter 58. We make a distribution from the increment to various entities. I think it'd be appropriate, and Jeff in his dual role, to explain what we're here doing tonight. Jeffrey?
This is our annual distribution of the TIF incremental revenues for 2016. I will note that we are earlier than usual. We're going to try to get these things done by October of the following year. There is a debt service payment on December 1st for the industrial revenue bonds, and so we're trying to make this thing get it completed by October of each year. So here we are before you tonight. The total distribution we're looking at, which represents 80% of the growth, is the $771,433. There was $964,000, roughly $1,000 growth in the 50 block area for 2016, and the $771,433 represents the 80%, and the city retains the $192,858 as the 20%. I would like to note that of the $771,000, $202,000 of that was base revenue that the city agreed to forfeit with the 2015 interlocal agreement. So that took effect in 2014. We have been doing that this is the second year of that now, so that is built into that calculation. We will distribute the money to the authority. We will distribute the Block 6 IRB money directly to the trustee probably later this week, and ask for your approval on this. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Questions for Mr.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning has stepped out. Nash?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
First reading of ordinance BG 2017-51.
Ordinance relating to budget amendment. Ordinance approving amendment number 1 to the City of Bowling Green, Kentucky annual operating budget for fiscal year 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Perigin, second by Williams.
One of the responsibilities of the city commission is to actually manage the budget, and we do that by making sure the staff does a good job of doing that, and by approving change orders and budget amendments and contracts. We're here tonight to ask you to approve budget amendment number 1. Jeff can answer any questions about it. Most of them are ministerial or revenue related.
Comments or questions? Budget amendments? Please call the roll.
Williams?
Yes.
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 Denning?
Yes.
Nash?
Yes.
Perigin?
Wait, I've got a question. Can we tell each other how to vote? This has happened 2 times tonight, where the mayor has told, as Commissioner Perigin walked back in, he told her to vote yes, and then he just told Commissioner Williams to vote yes. Are there rules concerning that?
I was engaged in conversation, and he was just reminding me to vote.
By saying yes.
He didn't tell me to vote yes. I read the documents well before I got here.
All right, so Wilkerson?
Well, I'm not getting an answer to my question, so I suppose we'll move on.
Last thing we have is the late file for Municipal Order 2017-208.
I just ran to the restroom.
Municipal Order 2017-218, municipal order approving and ratifying actions of the mayor to execute a lease agreement with Steamer Seafood of Bowling Green LLC to lease the public parking lot next to its location for October 13th, 2017 for the WKU Alumni Association Homecoming event.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Perigin, second. Action that I took to notify the members of the commission due to the lateness of the issue regarding rental of 8 parking spaces next to steamers so that they could expand their operations for the homecoming event that they had planned. And although they have a caterer's license, Doug's gone, I think, a caterer's license, which allows them to serve off premises, they need a lease or an agreement from the premises that they serve on in order for that to be legal, and they had forgotten to do that, and rather than stop the homecoming, engaged in the lease agreement, again notifying the commission what I was going to do. The opportunity here is for us to discuss just a little bit about what freedom we can allow staff to do on something of a one-day event that would allow a lease like this to occur, similar to what we have in the park system where we lease for different events that occur. We set up parameters, so we may want to consider doing that in a situation like this to avoid again a different situation like we had, or a similar situation like we had. But I might ask if Mr. DeFebo, if you wouldn't mind looking at some parameters that we could put in place that would allow, of course, a long-term lease would be different, like the sidewalks in front of the restaurants and so forth, but, a one-day event similar to like what we do in the parks, we may want to consider doing that rather than have there's a lot of turmoil behind the scenes trying to take care of a problem that we could take care of pretty quickly.
I can get with Doug, who's the alcohol administrator, and see what you all want. We can maybe present
Okay
something.
with him doing that.
That would be helpful.
Other comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning?
Yes.
Nash?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Public comment section to go. If there's anybody who has a comment to make that wants to bring something to the city commission's attention, this would be the appropriate time. When you come up, if you could provide your name and address, please, and I'll start the clock when you begin talking.
My name is Erin Darst. I live at 1234 Kenton Street. So as I said, my name is Erin Darst, and I'm a member of the LGBTQ community here in Bowling Green. And from where we stand in City Hall right now, we are going to be having our first ever Bowling Green Pride just down the road. And usually,
Will you pull your mic
sorry?
down?
Oh, yeah,
please?
sorry. Usually when you hear from us as supporters of Bowling Green fairness, it's in the context of passing a fairness ordinance. This would protect our lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community from discrimination. That's because part of our responsibility as citizens is to make everyone in our city feel welcome. Today, however, this responsibility looks like the biggest celebration of our LGBTQ community that we've ever seen. Mayor and Commissioners, I want to take the opportunity to invite you all to join us in Circus Square Park this Saturday, October 21st from 12 to 5 p.m. for Bowling Green's inaugural Pride. Join us and see how far we've truly come together as a city to make this happen. It's not only a small group of like-minded individuals, it's families, it's institutions, it's Bowling Green as a whole. Pride is made possible in partnership with many of our local business supporters, including English, Lucas, Priest, and Owsley Law Firm, proving once again that fairness is good for business. But once the festivity over, it is back to work. It's clear that our community needs support. In 2 weeks, we'll be right here in City Hall again, reminding you that Bowling Green remains Kentucky's largest city without an LGBTQ fairness ordinance. On Saturday, your constituents will gather to celebrate pride in who they are, even though on the following Monday, they could be fired from their jobs for doing so. You all have the power to change that. 4 days from now, Bowling Green will celebrate our LGBTQ community and the beautiful, welcoming city that we all share. We hope you'll stand with us. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, you might not, my name is Jennifer Moreland. I live at 1367 Clay Street, and I have two issues I want to talk about. One issue is the Fairness Act, and you might say, why bother? But the fact is, we need to pass that Fairness Act. We need to have fair in this community. We need to not be prejudiced against the gay community, and we need to. You know, it's all over this country. We are standing as the gay community to stand up for the Fairness Act, and we're just asking you to pass it. Another thing is there's an issue regarding you don't have a fraud department at your police department, okay? And it's really strange because now it's close to Christmas, so it's going to increase. Fraud is going to increase. So your police officers are busy busting people, busting other jobs, and like busting drug dealers and busting everybody else, and they won't have time to go and help fraud. They won't have time. So what we need to do is establish a fraud department. We need 2-3 officers that would take care of fraud. Even one officer would take care of fraud. We should have one. Louisville has one. Okay, Louisville has one, and all the big cities have one. And this is one of the largest cities in Kentucky, and we don't have a fraud department.
Are you saying we need to have a fire department
No.
at the police department?
No.
Fraud, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
No.
We already,
We don't. We have an officer that deals with it, but he's busy doing other stuff. So he doesn't have time to do it, and people are getting scammed, and it's around Christmas, and Christmas is, there's going to be more fraud. We have to admit, there's going to increase. So we have to make a stand right now and make a department for fraud in the police department. We have to. All right, thank you.
Anyone else? We'll close the meeting and tell you that our next scheduled meeting is November 7th, 2017. Thank you for tuning in.
Big Brent over there. We through?
No, wait.